Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Working Man Ron Doyle. This video is a follow-up of the previous video on Titan Attachments stump bucket with grapple. Should you buy one? Let's talk about it. I bought this the end of 2022, got it and had some problems with it to where I was too worried about using it that it would possibly tear the attachment plate up by shearing my pins off. So I wanted to do the modifications to this stump bucket to make it a lot better than what it was when I received it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this stump bucket. We're going to go take it to the backwoods, put it in action. We're going to pull out a fallen tree, do a little bit of bucking on it, see how it grabs. I've got a attachment ball now that I can move my splitter around. I can move a brush grinder around, a dump trailer around, and I want to show you all what this thing is about. So let me give you a little bit of a close-up to it. As you can see, we have got a tri-ball in the front with the attachment coming through, the receiver hitch coming through it, the front plate. And I did a little bit of bucking on some rounds, and what I had noticed was with the grapple lead all the way down that the log being pinched in between here was being pressed against the upper part of the clamshell lid, and I noticed there was an extra strain on it, and I actually bent the tooth, the center tooth on this bucket. Had to turn the bucket upside down, hit it with a sledgehammer, straighten it out. So I've reinforced the bottom of the bucket to hold rounds, log rounds, straight out of the front of it without bending the bucket. I added a 1/2 inch steel plate to the whole entire bottom side and welded it around with 7018. I put the this tooth bar on the inside so that I can go into the butt end of a round and pick it up without stressing the lid on this attachment. I can be able to take it, pick it up, and put it into my dump trailer and set it down and pull away from it. Possibly not even using the clamshell lid to do it. But I want to take you all to the backwoods, and we're going to cut up a tree. We're going to do some stumping and see if you all think the improvements were worth doing, and possibly doing it to your stump bucket and being more productive on the job. So stay tuned. Let's give you a little closer look at this thing and what I've done to it before we stick it in the dirt. Talked about putting some hose guide protection on it. What I ended up doing was taking a piece of flat bar and welding a top shackle loop from a chain assembly into the top of the flat bar. I used the crating bolts that came with the particular unit. I took out the factory bolts because they were too short. The crating bolts were longer, and I ended up reusing the crating bolts to hold this new hose protection guard on place. What I ended up doing was I took all the pins and welded hoops on every single pin, and there are 4 of them. There's one over here at the base of the clamshell, and then there's one on the other side. This is the top of the hydraulic cylinder, and that's the bottom of the hydraulic cylinder. This particular one, I had to grind out the bushings on each side, and I did that with a hole saw and pressed them out with the bolt and washers and nuts. And I've put this one over here and that one over here. I flipped them so that all my attachment pins are pinned on the inside, as you can see. This one happened to be the only one that falls to where the loop is on the this side of the machine. Everything else is on that side. I cut the clamshell lid, as you can see, and I put a 2x2 receiver tube into it. I put reinforcement plates. I did 5/8 round bar to give it extra support. This is 1/4 inch plate. I cut this with a hole saw so that you can put your attachment chains in there. This ball can come out. It can be flipped around, 3 different sizes. And where I had done this plate in this intersection is into the factory plate. See if you can see that. I got a bad glare here. This is the factory plate that comes with Titan Attachments stump bucket, and all I did was torch through, right through their plate, and welded it. And where I made that a little weak torching through, that's the main reason why I did this reinforcement on the outside. I bent the bucket. I was playing around bucking some logs, and I put a log in the bucket this way, and I closed the clamshell lid down on it. And this tooth with one log, the very first time I used it, this tooth bent down. So I flipped the bucket over, hit it with a sledgehammer to straighten it back out. And I wanted to reinforce the bottom So what I did was I put 1/2-inch plate, this new piece of 1/2-inch plate, over top of the factory bottom of the bucket. Let's see if you can see that. And after I did that, I had to get the I had to do an adjustment on the fitment of this plate. The fitment of this plate was very loose. I ended up putting a 3/16 by 1.5-inch flat bar in place. You can see I welded it to the top. I put a piece of round bar, 3/8 round bar. You can see the round bar directly below it, and that tightened it up to the top of the plate, and that raised the attachment up, which makes my pins engage better at the bottom. Let's see if I can get you to see this here. We've got a lot of sunlight out here. You can see that pin is fully engaged and it's hanging out. You can see it from the operator station. I cut the plate loose from the top, from the bottom. This plate was actually hitting on the back of this square tubing. I increased it by putting a piece of 3/8 thick by 3-inch wide flat bar, cutting it with angles. I spread the plate, I tipped it back, welded it in position, and then I had to reinforce the bottom with these 3 stiffeners that you see right here to give it rigidity so that I didn't flex and break this. You can see another weld where I've added the plate to the bottom of the bucket. Now, right now, as it sits, I've got a 30-degree camber, and I'm going to show a picture in this video. I've got a 30-degree camber tipped forward from the 90-degree vertical straight up and down axis. When I got this attachment, it was just a pinch over 10 degrees, and when I would raise it up and then tip the bucket all the way back in, the first video shows that it was hitting the D-ring tie down point on the front of the machine, and I was worried about it tearing the tooth up. That was the whole purpose of increasing the angle. Now, where this bucket sits lower than the attachment plate, this bucket here sits lower than the attachment plate itself right here. You still have a problem with the arcing. So I've got it now situated so when it comes down and I actually make contact with the teeth in the ground before the bottom center of this bucket ever reaches this tie down D-ring. So let me start this thing up. I'm going to show you what the open and close looks like now. Now, as you can see, let's get a little closer look. As you can see, the ball is hitting the ground, which the ball will be removed when you're doing stump work. The teeth are going to hit before the receiver tube. If you look at the angle where it lines up, so the receiver shouldn't be in the way. But if you look at the way that this comes down, unlike the first video I did on this attachment bucket, you can see there's clearance now. With before, the teeth were actually hitting up in here on the front of this plate. So right now, looking across here, we almost have a 180-degree plane of level across the top, with being a 30-degree offset. Let me set you up on this stand. I'm gonna load her up. We're gonna take her back to the woods and show you what she'll do. I'm curious to learn this myself. This is a brand new attachment, and I have not yet dug one stump out with this thing. It's gonna be interesting. I'm not going that far, so you're not going to see me chain this down to the trailer and take it back to the woods. But normally I do. Well, we're back in the woods, and this is the neighbor's tree adjacent to my property, and you can tell the past storm took the top of that tree out. So the only thing I'm going to be cutting is what's on my property. I'm going to grab a hold of it with a strap and pull it back this direction and try to salvage some of the wood out of this tree. I hate to see it go to waste if we can make good firewood out of it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to try to remove an oversized stump. This is a stump that I mounted up with dirt. She rotted out about 3 years ago. I piled dirt around it to hopefully speed up the rot process. And this particular stump I tried removing with a root grapple. It was too much for the machine to do. It's got a significant amount of rot. She's pretty punky. So what I'm going to do is scoop around here and clear this dirt out in between that tree and this one. Clean this out, and I'm going to work around this tree and want to see how effective this stump bucket is at getting that oversized stump out. There's another one back here that I could do. I keep riding over it with the tracks to evade on tearing the tracks up on the machine. I thought about digging it up. I have not. I don't remember where it was at. I think it was somewhere right in here, but I don't see it now. Let's try this rotten stump and see how it does. Get you on a stand. I got you sitting up about 9 foot, 10 foot above grade. That should give you a bird's eye view of that stump right there. That's all the wood that I took out of the woods. Let's see what this thing's got. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what happened, if my phone overheated or it was low battery, but this particular stump that I took out of this area is fairly large. I'm thinking that probably, with the dirt and everything, probably weighs 1,500 pounds. Took me about an hour and 5 minutes to take this out. This is probably the only time I'll ever take a stump out that big. Thank God it was somewhat rotten, a little easier to manage getting out. This stump bucket's got a limit, like everything else has got a limit. I'm thinking probably no bigger than 8 to 10 inches for this particular Titan attachment stump bucket. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the woods over there and get the loader bucket and fill this big hole back in, which I probably took out 2 or 3 tons of dirt to get that that out of there. But she does work. Stay tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and load a pile of logs up on the trailer, take it up to the house, and we'll start bucking. Stay tuned. cedar, ladies and gentlemen. That stuff smells so good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the stump bucket in action, and I do believe that we have got a winner on the modifications. I think they were well needed. Didn't get to show you pulling the log splitter, but basically you set the clamshell lid down and you hook your log splitter to it, and then you can tow it out and split up all your rounds that you got. But it appears that the teeth are still lined up after that abuse of stump removal. I noticed got quite a bit of dirt packed up in here, and it just totally shredded the paint off of this. Of course, I didn't expect enamel paint to hold up real well. Might throw some more on there. If you noticed, when I was cutting the rounds off, I didn't have this clamshell lid down, and the whole thing that was holding it was this tooth bar that I made. It is double cut. There's 2 rows of teeth. There's a row of teeth in the back. There's a row of teeth in the front. It's welded together across the top. It's basically 2 pieces of 3/8 by 2-inch flat bar, and then it's welded on each end, and then it's welded underneath it here and underneath it here. That was well worth the trouble that it took me to cut all those notches and make points on every one of them. I put a D-ring inside. If you ever have to undersling a 14 or a 20-foot chain around a bigger log, then this will grapple. You undersling your chain there around the object that you're trying to hold, and you come back to these 3/8 chain holders that are on either side of this Titan Attachments stump bucket that I added. I also added a D-ring back in here. If I need to lift this stump bucket in the back of a truck, and I don't have the machine to put it in the back of the truck for me, I can use an overhead jib crane or a forklift to pick it up from that pull point right here. Didn't show you removing the clamshell lid. It's kind of self-explanatory. You pull 1 pin, 2 pins, take the hydraulics off, pull this pin out, pull that pin out right there, and this whole clamshell assembly comes off. Now, what I did notice was where the stump was about 2 foot high off the ground, going underneath of the stump with the stump bucket, the teeth, this was hitting the top of that stump. So this was in the way. I probably should have removed it. Doing that stump removal, my camera cut off. I'm not sure if I lost the video footage of it or not. If I didn't, you will see it in this video. I really hope that I was able to catch some of that. It took me about an hour to uproot that stump and send it back into the woods. But it really appears that this stump bucket modification has worked out. I don't have the stump bucket tipped all the way back, but as you can see, when I picked that cedar log up, I was able to actually cradle it on the top of this bucket without putting the clamshell lid down. Now, when I first bought this, you couldn't do that. That bucket would not go far enough back. Now it does, because of the plate that I added in the back. And also adding that plate reduces the angle down here so that it doesn't hit the tooth on the bucket doesn't hit my D-ring as it comes down to go underneath of the stump. So this is definitely a well-needed attachment, and I really hope that this video was helpful to you all. If you hang around, you're going to see me doing the modifications as a slideshow at the end of this video. So stay tuned. I'm going to attach all the photos at the very end. It's probably 40 or 50 pictures. They'll be going by in 3-second increments.